It's the last Monday in June, which means Road Safety Month is coming to a close. Nonetheless, we encourage you to continue making road safety a priority. So as you walk, ride, or drive, take care on our roads. Hello there, I'm Theodore Henry, your host for today's Jamaica Magazine program. We begin with a word of advice followed by the news. Stay with us.
Hello? What is that? Me a come, hold on, me a come.
There is no excuse for speeding. In 2014, 330 persons died in road accidents. 65 persons were motorcyclists. So stop speeding. Motorcyclists and pillion passengers, wear your helmet, ride carefully, and kill your speed before it kills you. Remember, road safety begins with you.
Good day, I'm Tamara McHale and this is your GIS News for Monday, June 27. Jamaica and Panama have signed an agreement establishing a joint commission of cooperation. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the agreement will provide a framework for coordinating, monitoring and enhancing bilateral cooperation between the countries. It is expected to drive increased cooperation in areas such as tourism, ICT, logistics, agribusiness and mining. The agreement was signed on Sunday as the $5.4 billion Panama Canal expansion was opened. Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett says every effort will be made to secure the UK market in the wake of last week's referendum calling for the United Kingdom to exit the European Union. Minister Bartlett says the move, popularly referred to as Brexit, is significant to Jamaica's tourism industry, but there is no need to panic. He says immediate market arrangements are already in place, which would mitigate any immediate impact on arrivals from that region. But with the United Kingdom being the third largest tourism market for Jamaica, the minister says much will have to be done to maintain a strong presence in that region beyond the next winter season.
As a result, I will be leading a team to the UK in September for the Jamaica Travel Mart, and thereafter to do a road show in the British Isles.
Minister Bartlett was speaking with tourism stakeholders at a meeting in Negril on the weekend. The Andrew Holness-led administration will be implementing an initiative called BPO in Government, or BIG, to advance the digitization of government data. Technology Minister Dr. Andrew Wheatley says training will be carried out to employ young persons in this area.
What it entails is the creation of a BPO entity within government that will in effect act as a centralized provider for common or shared tasks within government. For example, Mr. Speaker, services such as data entry, paper to digital backfile conversion, operator services, call routing, and specific services which fall under the corporate services umbrella.
He says the BPO in Government initiative will accelerate government's digitization process, consolidate tasks, reduce costs, and increase productivity. In the meantime, legislation will be put forward to protect Jamaica's information and communications technology ICT platforms and enforce cybersecurity measures. The technology minister says this is important to address the increasing number of cyber attacks on government websites.
We will ensure that this time next year, we will have in place a Data Protection Act to ensure that we protect the information of our citizens, that whoever are the users or the gatekeepers of our citizens' information, that they know that they have a responsibility to safeguard that information.
He says a new ICT Act should also be in place by this time next year.
A key component of this new Act, Mr. Speaker, will be the creation of a single ICT regulator.
Minister Wheatley was speaking in Parliament recently. Ground will be broken this fiscal year for the construction of 2 new fire stations. They will be constructed in Port Maria and Montego Bay, replacing stations that have been closed for more than 7 years. During his sectoral presentation last week, Local Government Minister Desmond McKenzie announced plans to do the same for other areas.
In the next financial year, Mr. Speaker, we intend in focusing on the new facility in Yalas in St. Thomas.
Minister McKenzie says the Jamaica Fire Brigade Board has also been mandated to identify a new location for its headquarters, which is now based at Port Royal Street in Kingston. Meanwhile, 105 new firefighters recently graduated, and come August, another 100 are to be trained.
At the end of that training, it will bring the complement of firefighters up to a level where there will only be short of 60 firefighters to complete the full complement of the fire service.
And finally, 4 new classrooms valued at $23 million have been built at the Buff Bay High and Orange Bay Primary Schools in Portland. Each institution was provided with 2 classrooms constructed at a cost of $11.5 million. Funding was provided through the Government of Japan's grant assistance for a grassroots human security project.
We are happy to provide a comfortable learning and teaching environment for all the boys and girls, as well as teachers.
The additions have increased the classroom complement at Buff Bay High to 21 and to 5 at Orange Bay Primary. Education Minister Senator Ruel Reid and Member of Parliament for West Portland Darrell Vaz welcomed the support.
We're very grateful that Japan has risen to the occasion and has been able to provide this kind of support, because this is just one of the many projects that they have been investing in Jamaica.
I look forward to our strong bilateral relations and friendships, which I trust will continue to contribute to the government's growth agenda.
And that's it for GIS News today. I'm Tamara McHale. Thanks for watching.
All the people then with a Zig V, hold up your hand. Zig V in the Caribbean territory, but we now want that virus take set pan we. So make sure send us stagnant water inside and mash up all my state or breed inside. More hole in the tin them where you dash way and change the water in your vase every day. No litter, dispose of your garbage proper. You know them the thing that we turn drain blacker. Tour your community and tour your yard for suppress mosquito. We have figure hard. Dash we all tire turn over drum pan for prevention is the greatest weapon. And special shout out to pregnant ladies. Protect yourselves and protect your babies. Draw for your zapper and your mosquito spray. If you do all that we can to keep them away. How we now wasn't me.
On behalf of the government and the grateful people of Jamaica, I thank you.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness addressing the 2016 awardees at the Prime Minister's Medal of Appreciation for Service to Education. That and more in this week's Jamaica House Weekly.
Prime Minister witnesses historic opening of expanded Panama Canal. 40 educators awarded for service to the sector. And the Prime Minister says farewell to USAID Mission Director. You're watching Jamaica House Weekly. On the weekend, Prime Minister Andrew Holness was in Panama for the opening of the expanded canal. The $5.4 billion project, which took 10 years to complete, was officially opened on Sunday. Mr. Holness used his visit to meet with Panamanian officials, including President Juan Carlos Varela and Vice President Maria Luisa Navarro. The Prime Minister also met with Netherlands Vice Prime Minister Ludwig Asscher. An agreement was also signed for the establishment of a joint commission for cooperation between Jamaica and Panama. In his address, Mr. Holness said the agreement would provide an institutional framework for both countries to coordinate, monitor, and enhance bilateral cooperation. The Prime Minister expects increased cooperation in areas such as tourism, information and communication technology, logistics, agribusiness, and mining. Before his visit to Panama, Prime Minister Holness weighed in on the United Kingdom's decision to leave the European Union. On Friday, the Prime Minister said the move would not only have international impact, but also implications for Jamaica on several levels. As such, the Jamaican government is actively monitoring and assessing the evolving global environment in a bid to take advantage of the developments. Mr. Holness also pledged Jamaica's commitment to working with both the UK and the EU, particularly in trade, security, investment, and development cooperation.
You're being honored because you are a beacon of your chosen profession. On behalf of the government and the grateful people of Jamaica, I thank you.
A fitting tribute to 40 of the nation's educators at the Prime Minister's Medal of Appreciation for Service to Education. At Thursday's function, Mr. Holness asked teachers to embrace government's vision of education being the driving force behind Jamaica's quest for prosperity.
Even as I say thanks, let me declare that I need more from you and more faithful stewards like you to take us to levels of economic and social independence that have eluded us for far too long.
Prime Minister Holness also said farewell to outgoing USAID Mission Director Denise Herbal this past week.
I want to encourage you, and I want to wish you all the best. You have, in your service, done a great job for humanity. You have touched many lives.
Prime Minister Holness also thanked the United States for helping Jamaica to achieve its development goals in areas such as environment and climate change resilience.
You have been aligned with us on education. You have been aligned with us on agriculture. You have been aligned with us on energy. You have been aligned with us on community development, helping us to deal with HIV/AIDS, helping us to deal with matters of corruption, helping us to improve our public administration.
Ms. Herbal is heading to Pakistan for her next assignment. The Prime Minister also received guests at Jamaica House this past week. On Friday, he met with a representative of the Duncan Tree Foundation and Miss Teen Jamaica. The day before, Mr. Holness met with the sixth formers from Denby High. Professor Jeffrey Sachs also paid a courtesy call on the Prime Minister at Jamaica House. And that's it for today's edition of Jamaica House Weekly. We return next time with more of the news stories coming out of the office of the Prime Minister.
Stop. Think before you burn. The dry season is on, so there's little to no rainfall and wind speeds increase around this time too. What if the fire you light gets out of control? Where would you get the water to out the flame? Why not try bagging up waste and putting it outside for collection? If you absolutely must burn, construct a fire break by clearing an area around the site to be burnt. Use water to wet the perimeter of the brush being burnt. Burn in small piles and be sure to burn one pile at a time. If no water is available, ensure you have some dirt to douse the fire. Remember, take stock of yourself and think before you burn.
When we think of disaster preparedness, especially around this time, one of the first things that come to mind is a hurricane, not true? Well, today we want you to keep abreast of another possibility, fires. Take a look.
In the case of a fire at your home, should you A. stop to get your pet, B. evacuate immediately and call the fire brigade from a neighbor's phone, or C. stop to call the fire brigade? The answer is B. Evacuate immediately and call the fire brigade from a neighbor's phone. Many students know the answer to the question simply because a fire prevention officer went to their school and gave them the drill.
When your clothes is on fire, you do not run. So you stop where you are, you fall to the ground, and you roll.
Public education is a key component in fire prevention. It is a proactive method of reducing emergencies and the damage caused by them by ensuring that the public is fully aware of what to do in case of an emergency.
We recognize that fires start most of the time because people don't know about fires. People don't know what it takes to make a fire. People don't know what it takes to get rid of a fire. Without educating a person about the dangers of fire, then they would be totally lost, and we will continue to have devastating fires destroying life and property.
run for me. Make sure that everybody in the class is here.
I think you should give yourselves a clap. Right. That's how we want you to operate when there is a fire, all right?
Fire prevention officers go into communities, businesses, schools, churches, wherever they are granted access and educate the public on fire safety practices. And through programs like Safety Monitor and Training, persons are taught to educate others about appropriate fire safety behavior.
We go into communities, we train what we call community safety wardens or fire wardens. So they would now look at the mispractices. We go into businesses, organize the staff, and we train persons to train the people in the workplace. They are also trained to a point where they can check for hazards to ensure that all the fire hazards that are visible can be reduced.
If it is that you require of us or you ask of us to come into your home and show you what inside there can actually start a fire and how you can prevent that fire, we actually do that. And we promote as well what we call the good neighbor policy. So you ensure that your neighbor is not doing anything that will put your life in jeopardy from a fire, and you do the same as well for your neighbors.
What happens?
Fire prevention does not stop at public education. There is also engineering and enforcement. You could call it the triple E effect. Engineering and enforcement go hand in hand. It's at this stage that the Fire Prevention Division review building plans, inspect buildings, and assess for compliance.
We encourage you to come into us, submit your building plan. We are able to look at it to see how you are going to occupy the building, and then we would be able to recommend the type of devices that you would use to better protect your property and the lives that will occupy that building.
Fire prevention officers should be contacted to conduct fire safety inspection as soon as new buildings are erected or existing buildings are being renovated. There is no cost attached.
So you would write us a letter, and you can send it in to us by email. When we get that letter, we set a date with you. We come into your building and we look at everywhere. All of the occupied space, whether doors are locked off, technical room, we start from the roof all the way down to basement level if there is a basement, and we note everything in terms of what you have in the building, what you need to do, and then we would go back, make recommendations. So once you implement those recommendations, then you know that you are on the right track to have a safe building, a fire-safe building to occupy.
Once the inspection is complete and your building meets the required standard, you will receive a building occupancy certificate, also known as a fire certificate. The Fire Prevention Division also sees to the retrofitting of fire hydrants.
In 2007, we did a survey. That survey was a bit dismal, to be honest. It showed that we had just about 30% of all fire hydrants across the island working. We hired 2 teams of hydrant maintenance persons, and we placed one in the western section of the island and one in Kingston. In 2012, 5 years after, we did another survey, and that survey is showing us that we now have over 70% of the fire hydrants working. So that is really saying to us that the team that we have employed is actually going out there and doing the job that is required of them.
The fire brigade is on the job to ensure that you are safe in the event of a fire, but they can't go it alone. Your help is needed.
Don't cook and leave it unattended. Don't overload circuits. Don't introduce a whole lot of electrical equipment on systems that are not designed for that heavy load. Don't allow children that are not of the age of 12 and untaught to be fooling around with fire in general, and pretty much ensure that you have a plan in your home, in the building that you occupy. Ensure that the right equipment is there. Our message to the public is prevent, prevent, prevent.
Once a fire starts, you need to call us. It is better for us to get on the scene and realize that you have already dealt with it than for us to get on the scene late. Because nobody likes a situation like that when we get there late and there's nothing much that we can actually do.
For more information on the Jamaica Fire Brigade, visit their website, www.jfb.gov.jm, or call 922-2523 or 922-0007.
This is one time we don't want you to laugh.
Staying safe on the road is a serious thing.
Mr. Taxi driver and bus driver, take time, man. People, so one-stop driver and come off.
Cyclists, motorcyclists, pedestrian, all road users using the head.
Only if you use cell phone and drive. No, man.
Idiot thing that.
Road safety is no laughing matter.
Because we want you to be around
and laughing with us for a long time.
A message from the National Road Safety Council and National Health Fund.
Hi there, welcome to Road Scholars, where we give you the tips you need to stay safe on our road. Today, we're talking motorcycle safety. Stay with us for the ride, won't you?
It may be an attractive option for those who want to escape those pesky traffic snarls or for the thrill seekers among us. But motor and pedal cyclists still need to follow all the road rules and take extra precaution to ensure their safety. Over the years, both categories of road users have remained high on the list of road fatalities. In fact, they're among the top 5 groups at risk of serious injury and death on the roads.
Head injuries are one of the most likely for a motorcyclist involved in a crash. Research has shown that wearing a helmet significantly reduces the severity of those injuries, and the law demands it.
There are 2 special type of helmets that are supposed to wear in Jamaica, and the law stipulates that.
Going without a helmet or using anything other than the 2 types of legal helmets when operating a motorcycle compromises the safety of the individual and should never be considered. And remember, the chin strap, which secures the helmet onto the motorcyclist's head, is critical.
The half helmet. See, half. As you notice, you have the ear guard, making at the back. That. This helmet, this is a visor. But using this helmet, you have to wear glasses to protect the eye from the wind or any obstacle might in the wind. If you look inside, you see the padding. Soft material. This is comfort and protection.
The second is the full helmet, which covers the entire face and is similar in makeup to the half helmet. Once the helmet has taken a hit in an accident, it should be replaced. Even if it has no visible damage, its ability to provide full protection at another time could be compromised. Other protective devices that should be considered include knee and elbow pads, gloves, and a body armor or motorcycle jacket to minimize serious injury to other parts of the motorcyclist's body. Remember also the other components: tires, brakes, mirrors, and lights. They should be checked regularly and be kept in tip-top condition. The failure of brakes and tires especially could prove fatal.
Getting on the road with a motorcycle is pretty simple, but
for a motorcycle, you need a license, you need a rider's license. You can get a learner's license to ride a motorcycle. But for a rider's license, it's the same procedure as applying for a motor vehicle driver's license.
Persons learning to operate a motorcycle must not transport passengers. A clear L should be displayed on the motorcycle, and all motorcycle operators must obey the speed limit and all other road rules. Those who are holders of full motorcycle licenses can transport passengers, but
as a rider, if you're not carrying a passenger, one passenger is permitted to ride on a bike. And if the bike should be situated or should be made in a way that there's a footrest for the passenger at the back. If there's no footrest, that means the bike is not supposed to carry a passenger.
Keep in mind that having a motorcycle and following just these rules is not enough. To ensure as smooth a passage as possible, here are some other rules you might want to pay attention to.
never bob and weave through traffic. Obey all the rules governing overtaking. Never disobey one-way signs. Proceed in the same direction as other motorists. Obey the instructions of police officers, flagmen, and all other posted road signs. Reduce the use of cellular phones and other electronic devices while operating a motorcycle. Similarly, do not consume alcoholic beverages if you have to drive a motorcycle. Dress in reflective garments at night so that it's easier for pedestrians and other motorists to see you. And ensure horns and other warning devices are working so that other road users can be sufficiently aware of your presence. Representatives from the Island Traffic Authority and the police are keen on prosecuting those who do not obey the regulations, and the full brunt of the law could come down on delinquents. Besides stiff legal penalties, though, the pain of serious injury or death for traffic offenders and their families could be great. It's also important for pedestrians and other motorists to look out for motorcycle users. Drivers, check your mirrors before changing lanes, making a turn, or opening your doors. And pedestrians, treat them as you would any other vehicle. Be alert and pay extra special attention when crossing the road.
Eliminating dangerous behaviors from our roads is up to all of us. Remember, we all have to use our roads daily. If we play our part, we are not only helping the authorities, but we could save ourselves a lot of pain and anguish. I'm Alison, and this has been Road Scholars.
And that's all we have for you on today's edition of Jamaica Magazine. We return round about the same time tomorrow on this station. If you can't wait that long to catch up on Jamaican stories and issues that affect Jamaica, visit our website, jis.gov.jm, or our Facebook and Twitter pages. There's also YouTube, Instagram, and our new mobile app. On behalf of the entire team here at the JIS, I'm Theodore Henry. Thank you for watching.
Has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.